What's going on, guys? We got a question in the Facebook group today asking how to get past the gatekeeper. Really, he just wants to book meetings with cold calls, but he hasn't been able to get past the gatekeeper. He opens with, "Hey, name, this is Donal. Can I speak with the boss, please?" And he gets responses like, he's in at the moment. The best way to contact him is by the generic company email. We're not taking cold calls at the moment. So these are common responses I've heard when I've cold called gatekeepers when I did not know how to get past them. And I want to teach you today how to get past the gatekeeper and avoid these objections as much as possible. My name is Jacob Two-Winer. I've brought in over $1 million in outbound sales with cold email and cold calls in the last few years. And I want to share with you how I've done that so you can get to the next level. This question was asked in my private Facebook community, Outbound Closers, which you can actually join if you sign up for the free pain-based prospecting in the description down below. It'll teach you how to build rock solid lead lists of people that actually want to buy so you can get through more often, book more meetings, make more sales. The list is your strategy, and this is the best training around that will teach you how to build good prospect lists. And once you get the free training, on the thank you page, it will actually give you access to join this community. So you too can ask questions, have them answered on YouTube and in the group, etc. I can talk to you there, I'm active there, etc. So let's get started with the video. What is the problem going on here? So he's saying, "Hi, name, this is Donald. Can I speak with the boss, please?" So this is essentially saying, I have not done my homework. I don't know who I'm actually calling. And when you show you haven't done your homework and you don't know who you're calling, the gatekeeper is going to screen you out. So let's back up a second. What's the gatekeeper's job? Okay, they're just a secretary or like whatever, an office manager. One of their biggest jobs is to guard the boss's time. So what they're looking to do is whenever they can tell there's someone trying to sell something, their job is to ignore and deflect as much as possible. They're a filter. They're like a spam filter, essentially, right? On the flip side, a gatekeeper also will get in trouble, or it wouldn't be great if they screen out the wrong person. So imagine like the president of the United States calls the business, and the gatekeeper's like, "Sorry, send an email." That wouldn't end well. So usually a more practical example would be like a customer's calling, or a coworker, or an employee, or someone important that's relevant to the business owner. The gatekeeper is going to want to let them through. So the key to get through is to not sound like every other salesperson, right? First of all, don't obviously be a salesperson. That's basically the number one tip. Don't come in and start trying to sweet talk the person and be super friendly. Don't sell them what you're trying to sell the decision maker, because if you start selling them, even if they act interested, they're not. The only time you should sell the gatekeeper is if the product is actually for them, for the gatekeeper. Other than that, don't tell them you're a salesperson. Don't tell them actually that don't give them your sales pitch. Do not explain why you're calling, because then they will screen you out forever. Don't do that. Don't be super friendly most of the time. There are times where if you have like 10 companies you can sell into where you're going to have to be friendly with the gatekeeper and actually build a strong relationship with that person and then get past them to the next decision maker. But in most cases, when you have tons and tons of leads to reach out to, gatekeepers it's a transactional call. You don't have to worry about it. Don't try and befriend them. Don't sell to them. Don't give away why you're calling exactly. That's number one. You don't want to come across like a salesperson. So the other thing you don't want to do is you also don't want to mislead them terribly, or really you don't want to lie. You don't want to call and tell them you're a customer or that you know the boss, something like that. If you're like blatantly obvious with like a lie and you stretch the truth too much, that's also not cool. It's going to come back to bite you, and you don't want to lose your integrity at all as a salesperson. So really what you want to do is just use confidence, know who you're calling before you call, be affirmative, and just go for it. So one of the mistakes that he's making here is he's showing that he doesn't know who he's calling. He's saying, "Can I speak to the boss, please?" Saying, "Can I speak to the boss, please?" translates to, I don't know who the boss is because I'm a salesperson. I did not do my homework. So you don't want to say that. What you want to do instead is know who the boss is and say, hey, when the gatekeeper answers, "Hey, this is Tammy. How can I help you?" "Hey, Tammy, it's Jacob. Can I speak to John, please?" That's all you have to say. "Hey, Tammy, it's Jacob. Can I speak to John, please?" So if you say that instead, you're coming out of the gate confident, direct, you know who you want to reach, and you're just saying it with a downward tone. That is the way a friend or colleague would ask to speak to John. Like if I'm calling to a company and I'm trying to reach my boss, I would just say, "Hey, can I speak to Chef, please. Can I speak to John? Can I speak to Jacob? Whoever I'm trying to reach, that's who I'm going to. That's what I'm going to say. Speaking of calls, I'm getting a call right now from one of my friends, so I'm going to answer that. So when you open with that, when you open with confidence and you know who you're trying to go after, you could just say their name, downward inflection, as if you know them. Boom. Now the gatekeeper may just say, okay, let me see if they're in. They're going to try and transfer you, or they'll say, yeah, what is this about? And when you are asked what it's about, you need to have a reason why you're calling. That's not actually like the pitch, but it's also not a lie. So it has to be relevant, and you want to keep it short. A good framework is to by the way, if you're calling to sell marketing services, don't say that your website or SEO. Don't say that. That's obviously you're selling. You're going to get canned. So you have to be more creative. I'll give an example, and then you can try and apply the example to your own situation. I was tasked with selling drug screens and physicals to local trucking companies. I was a salesperson at a outsourced sales agency. One of my clients needed cold call services. Both of the cold callers that were put on the job failed within 2 weeks, so I had to step up and take over the account myself. I decided to do that to save the account, and I ended up doing a good job. I saved the account, and I have a good relationship with the guy to this day. And that was my first time cold calling, which is crazy. That's how I learned. So I was trying to call into local trucking companies to sell them Department of Transportation compliant physicals and drug screens. The benefit is, unlike going to an urgent care or generic health clinic where you have long wait times, our clinic was faster. It was specialized, and you would show up and basically pee in a cup and leave within 5 minutes, and it was also cheaper. So it was just way easier. So what I would do is I would call the gatekeeper. I didn't even know who the person was. And I would say, this was good for me. I was working for like a health clinic, so I sounded official. I said, hey, this is Jacob from HFit Medicinal Health. Something like that. Hey, it's Jacob from HFit Health. Calling about your employee drug screens and physicals. Can I speak to the person who oversees that, please? Now, the thing is, generally speaking, I know this goes against my advice of knowing who you are, knowing who you're calling. I was calling into massive organizations, and at those size companies, it's actually fine to maybe not say the person's name exactly. The other thing that was going for me in this case was I was calling about drug screens and physicals from an actual doctor's office, so I sounded very official, and I was able to get through all the time. And then once I got through, I would pitch them on our clinic, which is basically what I was doing. Now, if I knew I was trying to call, what I would say is, hey, can I speak to John, please? And if they said, hey, what do you want to talk to him about, or why are you calling? I would say, yeah, I'm calling about your drugs. I'm calling about your drug screens and physicals, your employee drug screens and physicals. And they go, oh, and right. So they would say, okay, drug screens and physicals. Boom, put them through. Basically, the strategy is when they ask you, keep it short. So you call, you say, hey, Jacob, hey, Jane, it's Jacob. Can I speak to John, please? Yeah, why are you calling? Calling about your drug screens and physicals. Do you know if John's in right now? I can check. Was he expecting your call? I'm not sure. I'll hold, please. Thanks. Meaning you keep it short, you keep it direct, and you just try and act as if you know them already. You have a good reason for the call. That is not obviously a sales pitch, nor is it a lie. If you can balance all those things and be direct and to the point, you will have success getting past the gatekeeper. If the person's in, it depends on the niche. But with this strategy, I was able to get through maybe like 1/3 or maybe even more gatekeepers that picked up the phone. I could get through. So I highly recommend you try this yourself, and I hope it works well for you. Go ahead and get the free pain-based prospecting training down below and sign up for the Facebook group. I would implore you to do so. Okay, take it easy. Bye.